The pot sat there, looking the same as always, except now it has spoken. A scream tore from Ugochi's throat.
Mama!
In a small village, there lived a young girl named Ugochi. She was the one and only beloved child of her mother. Ugochi was different from every other child. She was very lazy and often avoided chores, preferring to sit idly while others worked. Whenever her mother called on her to fetch water, sweep the compound, or help with cooking, Ugochi would sigh and drag her feet, complaining about how tired she was. But the task she disliked the most was going to the farm. While other children in the village accompanied their parents to tend the crops, Ugochi always found an excuse to stay behind. "I don't want to get my hands dirty. Farming is too hard," she would say. Her mother, a strong and patient woman, often warned her, "Ugo, laziness does not bring good fortune. A person who refuses to work will one day beg for food." But Ugo never listened. Instead, she would sneak away to the river bank, where she would sit under the shade of a large mango tree, watching birds hoop from branch to branch. She would do anything at all, just to avoid going to the farm. When her mother woke her up calling, "Ugo, get ready, we are going to the farm," she would groan loudly and pretend to be sick. "Mama, my stomach hurts," she would whisper, clutching her belly and rolling on her mat. Other times, she would claim to have a headache or say her legs were too weak to walk long distance. At first, her mother was worried, but when she noticed that Ugochi miraculously recovered as soon as she left, she sighed in frustration. One morning, her mother decided to test her. "Ugo, if you are too weak to go to the farm, then you must stay at home and do all the house chores," she said. "Sweep the compound, fetch water, and prepare good food before I return." Ugo's heart sank. She hated chores almost as much as she hated farm work. But she was determined to escape, no matter what. The moment her mother left, Ugochi tiptoed out of the house, found a shady spot under the big almond tree, and lay down. And soon she was fast asleep. Hours later, her mother returned, sweaty and tired from the farm. But instead of a clean house and a warm meal, she found Ugochi snoring peacefully, the broom untouched, the water pot empty, and the firewood still stuck where it was left. Her mother's eyes darkened with disappointment. "Ugochi," she called, shaking her awake, "so you haven't done nothing all day?" Ugochi yawned and stretched, tried to think of an excuse, but before she could speak, her mother simply shook her head. But Ugochi did not care. As long as she did not have to lift a finger, she was happy. Many years ago, before Ugochi was born, her mother bought a wonderful clay pot for storing drinking water. It was the pride of her kitchen, standing tall in a corner, its smooth brown surface shining under the dim glow of the lantern. She had bought it from a famous pot seller in the village market, an old woman known for making the strongest and longest lasting clay pots. The day she bought it was still fresh in her memory. As she admired the beautifully crafted pots lined up in the seller's store, she pointed at the biggest one and said, "This one looks strong. How much is it?" The pot seller, an elderly woman with a gray hair and wrinkled hands, smiled proudly. "Ha, my daughter, you have good taste. This is not just any clay pot." That was the exact words the woman used, not just ordinary clay pot. "These pots will last for generations." Mama Ugochi raised an eyebrow. "Generations? That is a strong claim. How long exactly will it last?" The old man leaned closer, as if revealing a great secret. 300 years. Yes, 300 years. Even your great-grandchildren will drink from this pot if you take good care of it. Mama Ugochi chuckled. Ha! 300 years? Are you telling me that this pot is stronger than iron? The pot seller laughed, shaking her head. It is not iron, my daughter, but it is made with a special kind of clay, mixed with the wisdom of my ancestors. The water inside will always stay cool, even on the hottest days. No cracks, no leaks, just fresh, sweet water every time. Mama Ugochi ran her fingers over the pot, feeling its fine texture. She knocked on it lightly, and the sound was deep and solid. She had to admit, it felt different from other pots and she had seen before. It is expensive, but if it truly lasts that long, it is worth it, she said, nodding. The pot seller smiled. You are making a wise choice, my dear. Just remember, treat it well, keep it clean, and never let the lazy hand undo it carelessly. Mama Ugochi raised an eyebrow. A lazy hand? What do you mean by that? The pot seller's smile faded slightly, and she looked into the distance as if recalling something. Then, she shook her head and laughed. Nothing serious. Just a saying from the old days. Take your pot home, my daughter, and may it serve you well. Mama Ugochi paid for the pot and carried it home with great care. True to the seller's words, the pot became a treasured part of her household. No matter how hot the sun burned outside, the water remained cool and freshy. For years, it never cracked and it never leaked. Mama Ugochi adored her clay pot. It was the finest thing in her kitchen, standing proudly in its usual corner, never moving, never fading. Every time she fetched water from the stream, she would pour it carefully into the pot, letting it to rest in its cool depths. And no matter how hot the day was, the water inside always stayed refreshing. She often stood back, arms crossed, admiring it with a smile. This pot is truly special, she would say to herself. 300 years, the woman said. 300. It will outlive even me. But for all her love and admiration, she had never for once brought it outside for a proper wash. She never scrubbed it inside, never let the sun shine on it. All she did was fetch water, pour it in, scoop from it, and refill. The pot was always full, never empty long enough to be cleaned. Whenever Ugochi complained about fetching water, Mama Ugochi would shake her head. Lazy girl, you don't know the value of this pot. One day, when you are a woman and ready for marriage, this pot will follow you to your husband's house. Ugochi will groan. Must I carry an old pot to my husband's house? Won't he have his own? Mama Ugochi will laugh, tapping the pot affectionately. This is not just any pot, my daughter. It will bless your home as it has blessed mine. You will drink from it. Your children will drink from it, and your grandchildren too. To her, it was just a clay pot, a pot that sat in one place, doing nothing. What was so special about it? But to Mama Ugochi, it was a treasure, a companion, something that will be part of the family forever. One afternoon, under the blazing sun, Ugochi sat at the kitchen floor, fanning herself lazily while her mother was outside pounding cassava. The air was still, except for the occasional chirpings of birds and the distant laughter of children playing in the village square. Her eyes drifted to the big clay pot sitting in its usual corner, silent and untouched as always. Her mother had just finished scolding her again. Lazy girl, look at you, lying around like a lizard in the sun while I do all the work. You should learn from this pot. It is always full, always useful. I will be with you even when you get married. Ugochi clenched her fist. She was tired of hearing about the pot, tired of fetching water just to fill it, tired of being compared to a lifeless piece of clay. She stood up suddenly, marched towards the pot, and pointed a finger at it, her voice dripping with frustration. I don't know what is so special about you, she snapped. Yet, my mother adores you so much. She praises you all the time, saying you will follow me to my husband's house. But tell me, what exactly do you do? Nothing. I mean, just sitting here, swallowing water that I fetched every day. Yet, I am the one always being scolded for being lazy. Her voice rose as she glanced at it. We are the same. You and I, both lazy. But somehow, I take all the blame, and you take all the praises. Gochi said, I bet if you could talk, you wouldn't even have anything to say for yourself. At that moment, the kitchen felt silent. Gochi stood frozen, her fingers still pointing at the clay pot. The kitchen was extremely silent, except for the distant clatter of her mother's pounding outside. Just as she was about to turn away, a tiny, almost unnoticeable shift. The pot, which had sat in the same position for years, adjusted itself slightly, not because of the wind, not because someone had touched it, but on its own. Ugochi's eyes widened. Her breath caught in her throat. My eyes must be pranking me, she whispered. Blinking rapidly, she rubbed her eyes and looked again. The pot was still. A nervous laugh busted out of her. Ha 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 ha. Imagine me almost believing that you adjusted yourself. Hell no. Shaking her head, a pot that moves? Maybe I need to rest. Maybe laziness affected my brain again. She turned away, still chuckling to herself. Then, the voice,
Are we really the same?
deep and echoing, coming from behind, from the pot. Gochi's blood ran cold. Her entire body stiffened. Slowly, with shaky breath, she turned back. The pot sat there, looking the same as always, except now it had spoken. A scream tore from Ugochi's throat. Mama! As she bolted out of the house, nearly dripping over her own feet. She did not stop running, not until she was outside. Panting, wide-eyed, her heart hammering in her chest. Her mother, startled by the commotion, turned sharply. Ugochi, what is wrong with you? But Ugochi couldn't speak. She just pointed towards the house, gasping for air. Mama Ugochi rushed to her daughter's side, gripping her by her shoulders. Ugochi, what is the meaning of all this? Why are you screaming like a person who just saw a ghost? Ugochi, still panting, pointed towards the house. Mama, the pot talked to me. Mama Ugochi stared at her for a moment, then placed her hand on her waist. Eh? So now paws are talking. Maybe the sun has finally roasted your head. Mama, I am serious. The pot moved, and then it spoke. It asked me a question, Ugochi insisted, her voice still shaky. Her mother hissed, "Shake her head. Ugo, you must learn to control your imagination. This is what happens when laziness fills your head instead of farm work. You are over-exaggerating. My precious pot has been here for years, never causing trouble. You are just looking for excuses not to fetch water today." She grabbed Ugochi's ear gently but firmly. Let this be the last time you behave like this. I don't want to hear nonsense about a talking pot again. Do you hear me? Ugochi nodded quickly, even though deep down she wasn't convinced. Her mother might trust that pot blindly, but she knew what she had seen and heard. That night, she barely slept. Every time the wind made a sound or something creaked in the house, she jotted awake, her mind returning to the moment the pot had shifted.